All right, NBL, welcome to the Extra Point Podcast, episode number 17. I got my co-host here with me, Project Fat, and we're going to welcome a new member here to our podcast, and that's DK of the Chargers. I'm sure most of you guys probably remember him. He used to be in the league before, but some things arose and he needed to step out, but he's back and he's ready to contribute to our podcast here. He agreed that he would join us, help us out with some future things that we have here. So I'm going to turn the mic over to him for a minute, let him quickly explain everything that he's going to do to help us out.
Well, first of all, it feels great to be back. Once everything got settled in my home life, I was able to get back to the everyday flow of Madden. My nemesis Lip was kind enough to let me take over his team in grid, and I had to grind it out for a little bit over a season before I was able to get back into the NBL. It was tough seeing name after name getting called up before me, but it feels even better now that I've earned my place back instead of having it given to me. There isn't anything around like the MLB and the Madden community. Nothing compares to it, so it was definitely worth the wait. Going forward, I feel like the Roundup and Inside the Huddle are building up momentum going into Season 15. Be on the lookout for more content and more exclusives from owners around NBL and team reports via the Extra Point podcast, who I'm now affiliated with. For the MLB Weekly Roundup, it's a media outlet that keeps the MLB community informed with what's going on around the league, with teams and players and owners, with Game of the Weeks, power rankings, rising and declining teams and players. Inside the Huddle takes a deeper look inside the locker rooms and gets valuable information deep inside closed doors. The locker room talk you thought were rumors, Inside the Huddle would turn those rumors into reality.
All right, so that's all the things that DK provides here. I know a lot of those were the the blogs and the Twitter that he managed before. So it's nice to see those back, and I think it's going to be something that really helps us down the line here with our podcast. So we've been mentioning our promotion we've been doing for a little bit. So before we get into that, I'm sure most of you, everyone has gathered by this point that it's basically a playoff bracket similar to those that we have done for the NCAA tournaments, the March Madness. So our promotion and giveaway is pretty much the same to that. So before we announce the details, we're going to go ahead and give you guys our brackets, and we'll see how we have the playoffs playing out. So Project, why don't you go ahead and tell us how it's going to play out in your mind?
All right, sounds good. So I'm going to go ahead and start off with the AFC side of things here first. Our first matchup that I'm going to talk about is going to be between Jay Moon and his Indianapolis Colts and TFA and his Browns. I think this is going to be a pretty good game, but I do think that although he's had some struggles, last season, I think TFA has gotten his team together, and I think that he's going to pull out a victory over those Colts. And then down to the other game in the first round of the playoffs here, we're going to talk about new owner Jamsel and his Buffalo Bills facing up against Tout in his first playoff appearance. Congratulations to you again, Tout. And I think that you're not going to make this one very short-lived. I do call an upset here in this first-round matchup, even though, the Bills have been playing very, very well down the stretch. Something tells me, and I think that, like I said, Tout's not going to let his first appearance be short-lived. I think that he can pull off the upset as well and go into that second round. So with that being said, that'll move us to that second round there. That'll put Tout up against Lip and his Pittsburgh Steelers. And then I think that this is where Tout's playoff run is going to end. And that's going to push Tout into that AFC Championship game. Down to the bottom half of that, TFA against Prince, the Kansas City Chiefs owner. Once again, I've said it before and I'll say it again. I've talked about Prince being, the favorite to win the Super Bowl this year for a couple episodes here now on the Extra Point podcast. So I see him getting past the Browns in a pretty, I don't want to say an easy victory, but I do see it being by probably a couple touchdowns at least. And then into the next round, that puts Prince and his Chiefs up against Lip and his Steelers. And once again, I'm not going to go away from what I've been saying. I got to take the Chiefs in this one as well. Lip's played very, very well. He does have a lot of weapons. Antonio Brown had a great season. We obviously know about the other weapons on that team, Le'Veon Bell, so on and so forth. But I think, his defense there in Kansas City is going to be what takes him to the Super Bowl and a chance at winning a possible another Super Bowl for those Chiefs. And then to go on to the NFC side of things, real quick, I think so. Our first round matchup is going to be Bomber facing up against Justin and his Seahawks. And I see every time that those two teams have played, I feel like Bomber's always had the upper hand, and I think that he'll continue to do so. So I see those Lions coming out on top, moving on to the second round. The other matchup is FCB Draco and the Rams against the Panthers and Jay Moon. And that Rams team is very, very scary to me as well. So I think that's a team that could make some noise here, and I think they move past the Panthers here in the first round. And so that's going to put the Rams up against the number 1 seed Giants with my co-host here, Tom, as the owner there. And I know Tom's always talked about these Rams and how good that they are, but I think, Tom's been equally as good this season. So I can definitely see him beating those Rams and making it into the NFC Championship game. Then on the bottom half of things, we've got One and Only and Bomber once again facing off, trying to get back to Super Bowl glory. And I think, I think it's going to be a little bit different this year. I don't see a repeat happening in the Super Bowl. I do see One and Only and his Falcons taking down Bomber and the Lions there and moving on to that NFC Championship game against Tom and the Giants. Now this is where I have to say sorry to you, Tom, and I think that your time in the playoffs will end against those Falcons. Just a great team once again. They're having another good season. Only one loss for that team this year, and I don't see them getting another one right now at that point in time. So that puts our Super Bowl matchup for me with Prince and his Chiefs against One and Only and his Falcons. And I will say it again, final time, I do see the Chiefs coming out on top there in the Super Bowl over the Falcons, and I see that as I'll call the final score 28 to 24 there in the Super Bowl.
All right, so a couple good picks there. I think you definitely are gonna see quite a few of those be right. So let's send it over here, DK. Why don't you tell us what your bracket's looking like for the playoffs?
All right, for the NFC wild card, I got the Lions over the Seahawks. I just think Bomber is just going to be a little bit too much for Justin to handle in that wild card game. Then I have the Panthers over the Rams. I think the Rams have just been beaten and battered in that division. I mean, they played so hard to come back and stay within the race, so I really feel like they're going to not have enough for the Panthers. Moving on to the divisional round, I got the Lions over the Falcons. I have it revenge for the Lions from the regular season loss. Then I have the Giants over the Panthers, and after playing against the Giants in Week 17, the defense just forces turnovers, and I think they'll get just the amount of turnovers that they need to win that game. In the championship, in the NFC, I have the Lions over the Giants. I just think Nasib, whatever y'all guys want to call them, tomato, will fold under pressure in those bright lights. I just think he's not ready to quite take his team to the Super Bowl yet. And I hate to tell you that, Tom, but that's kind of what I feel. Going over to the AFC wild card, after a long wait, the Dolphins have a chance to win a playoff game, and I think they're going to beat the Bills after their Week 16 loss to the Bills. So I think the Dolphins are going to go ahead and win that one and finally get some kind of respect in the NBL. The Browns over the Colts. I just think the Browns are in a better division with more competition. I don't think that the Colts can really do anything outside their division when it comes to the playoffs. In the divisional round, I got the Steelers over the Dolphins. The Dolphins just won't have enough ammunition for the Steelers. I think the Steelers just got too many weapons, and I think they're going to handle them pretty good. Then I have the Chiefs over the Browns. But the thing about this game, I think it's going to be way closer than you guys think. I don't think anyone's giving the Browns enough credit. So I'll be the one to give them the credit. So hopefully they won't let me down. Then I have the Steelers over the Chiefs. This is Lip's year. And Big Ben is the reason why, who I think should have won the MVP this year. I just think the Steelers are just on the roll, and I think they're going to get it done, which takes me to the Super Bowl, and I have the Steelers over the Lions. And like I said, it's just Lip's year with the aging Big Ben who's coming to the end of his career. I think it's like a Peyton Manning of the NFL this year. He just came on strong, and I think the Steelers are going to win it all. My score would be 27-24 Steelers.
All right, so we'll head over to start with my bracket now. So first off, here we're gonna start with the AFC, and as everyone said, with Tout here playing the Bills, Tout finally has entered into the playoffs after I think he's at like a 13 or 14-year drought now, so he's finally here. However, unlike my co-host's opinions here, I do not see Tout advancing past this part. I do take the Bills over the Dolphins in the first round, and then the Browns and the Colts. I have to agree with everyone here. Nothing against Jackie Moon and his Colts, but I just think that, as DK pointed out, the Browns are used to playing competition. They have a very tough division there, and the Colts have a little bit of a softer division. So I do think the Browns are going to take that one. So moving on to the divisional round now, we got Steelers and Browns, and then Bills and Chiefs. I'm going to take the Steelers over the Browns. The Steelers beat the Browns twice in the regular season, and it's always hard to beat someone 3 times in one season. However, I think the Steelers just have a much better team, and with Big Ben, they've been playing great. And now for the Bills and the Chiefs, as I said before, that I think the Chiefs are going to be the team to go into the Super Bowl. However, I think the Bills are going to pull the upset here. I think the Bills have been playing very well, and they're going to have a great game against the Chiefs, but they're going to be able to edge it out at the end. So then for our AFC Championship game, that's going to put the Bills and the Steelers. And everyone thinks this is Lip's year. This will be his first Super Bowl appearance if he makes it there. However, I do not think it's his year. I think the Bills are going to beat out the Steelers, and in their first season in the NBL, I think the Bills are going to make it to the Super Bowl. So now over to the NFC side. Agreeing with everyone else, I had to take the Lions over the Seahawks. Justin team has been red hot lately. I believe he started off 4-5, and he's like 9-0-1 or something like that in his remaining games since that point. But Bomber plays him well, and I don't think he's going to be able to beat Bomber at this point. And then with the Rams and the Panthers here, I think the Rams are a great team. They're the team that game I only lost this year. However, I think they've been playing a little bit inconsistent. I think the Panthers are going to beat them out there. So moving to the divisional round now. Falcons, Lions, Giants, Panthers are the matchups. So I'm going to have the Falcons over the Lions here. The Falcons beat the Lions pretty badly. They really destroyed their offensive line, and I think they're going to do the same thing in their repeat matchup here. Bomber, he was in the Super Bowl last year, but it's not time for a repeat. It's time for the Falcons to get back into the championship games. So I got Falcons over Lions, and then can never bet against myself, so I got to take the Giants over the Panthers, which I think is going to be a really close game. I think we've only matched up against the Panthers one time, and we did lose, but it's time to change that this year. And then for the NFC Championship, we're going to have the Giants and the Falcons. And like I said before, got to take Giants over the Falcons. I think it's going to be a close game. I don't think one and only and I have ever played a game in NBL in all the seasons we've been together here. So this will be our first matchup, and I think it's going to be a great game. Going to come down to the wire, but unlike what DK says, I think that Ryan Nassib is ready this year. He's taken the next step forward, and I think he's ready to go all the way. So that'll give us a Super Bowl, Giants and Bills for the Super Bowl. Again, another new owner there with the Bills, so it should be a great game. But I'm going to have to take the Giants over the Bills. Our offense is playing well. Defense creates the turnovers. I'm going to say it's 30-21 Giants in the Super Bowl. So that's going to go ahead, wrap up what our brackets is. So now let's go ahead and give our details here for the promotion. So as we said, everyone's going to be making our bracket. You can either find a website online and make a bracket, or just type the winners in, send me a private message with all the winners. And our prizes we're going to be doing is our first place prize for the bracket is going to receive $50 plus an NBL t-shirt. Second place for the bracket is going to receive an NBL t-shirt. However, we do have with our another incentive is if someone is able to produce a perfect bracket for the game, for all the games, they're going to be able to receive $100 instead of $50 for the top prize. So that's what our promotion is here. So like I said, everyone go ahead, DM me the games and the winners. And the only thing that I ask for as far as tiebreakers go, in case two teams tie, I just need one score. So the score of the Super Bowl, DM me the final score for the Super Bowl, and whoever is the closest in total points without going over is going to be the winner. And in case any ties would arise with the same scores at the top, whatever that, then the two winners would just split the prizes. So that's what we have here, and I believe that's gonna wrap up our episode here. We've been talking about this giveaway for a while, so you guys finally get it. Definitely get me the teams as soon as possible. I know we have the the Colts and the Browns are going to be playing here really shortly, and I believe the Dolphins and the Bills are also going to be playing shortly. So if you guys don't have your full brackets filled out, that's fine for right now. Just get me the winners for those two teams, and then sometime before tomorrow night, before the rest of the games are start getting played, get me the remaining winners for the rest of the time, and just create your bracket all up to the Super Bowl. So thank you guys for everyone who has participated in our bracket challenge here. I hope you guys all enjoy it, and it's a nice fun time. And also don't forget about our the other promotion we have sponsored by APV here, and that's the actual Super Bowl promotion. So that one again, DM train, total score for the game, and the winner, and whoever gets the right team that wins and the closest score is going to win that promotion from APV. So thank you guys all for tuning into our episode here, and we'll see you guys all probably after the Super Bowl. We'll talk about some off-season stuff as free agency kicks off, and what we're expecting from teams as we head into the draft. So thank you guys for listening to our episode here.